handle on a Tesla Model S. So this person has attached a piece of, I don't know, ribbon around it. And you can hear it, so if you get close, I'm gonna put the camera close to it. And if you can hear that noise, that's that paddle gear cycling back, or the motor cycling back and forth. There's no paddle gear there. And so you just hear the paddle gear trying to push the door handle out. Now I pulled the handle out, and so now that second micro switch has been basically closed. Oh, so now it knows that that handle is out. So the motor stops because it stops trying to push that motor out, the paddle gear out. So if I let it go, it'll start back up. So we're gonna get in there and replace that paddle gear. Let's get to it. All right, let's see. I'm gonna try to position you guys so you can see. There we go. All right, so first thing, I'm gonna use this pick, and there's a rubber, oh, I got an earring or something in here. You'll have that. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna get down here and you're gonna grab this little rubber, just a trim piece. All it is a cover. So this is the piece that sits down inside the door handle there, and it covers up a 10mm bolt. So pull that 10mm bolt out. You don't need this long of an extension, obviously, but we'll need it once we get inside the door. All right, bolt's standing. I got the bolt loose now. Next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take off this plastic trim piece cover. So again, you're gonna use your pick, pull that off, put that inside the car, and then you access two Torx bolts or Torx screws inside of here. Let me show you that. So inside here, here's the Torx screws right here. So this one you can get, pull that out. And the other one, I always open the handle, pull the handle back. There we go. Oh, put the screw in there. I'm gonna scoot you back a little bit now. Too close, too close. All right. These are the two Torx screws. So this is the one, they are, I kind of forgot what size they were. So they are a T30. So both of these are located right behind this door handle. So that's it. Those three bolts that hold this thing on, and now you rip it off. So let me show you. So you literally will just go behind here and just start pulling. It sounds dramatic, sounds crazy. And I guess I always hold it with my knee on the bottom. I hold the door with my knee. So you're gonna take it and just yank it. Like I said, it sounds crazy. Some clips may break, but we can replace them. That's how you get it off. So now it's completely loose. And so now there's a bunch of wiring harnesses on the back and everything. I'll move it around a little bit. So I can't just, I'm still supporting the door panel with my knee. And now I gotta go behind, and you don't wanna let this door panel just willy-nilly float around because it'll puncture the speaker. So first thing I'm gonna do, hopefully you can see in here. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do is disconnect this door cable. This is the cable that opens up the door. So that just slides straight out. There we go. So once you get it out of that housing, then you're gonna take it off. So the next thing you're gonna do is chase your next wire. This is gonna be your light. Take that apart. And now you get a little bit more access. So now we're gonna work on disconnecting this rear red light. So release that one. Now we're gonna do the bottom light for the door panel. Take that one off. And then last is the window switch. And that's it. It's all disconnected now, so we'll put that off to the side. Let me come back and show you guys a little bit of this. So these are the clips I was talking about. So you just pull these straight out. So now back to the door here. All right. So these top clips, they also hold the door panel on. So there's 5 of those that sit up here. So now the next thing you see here is inside the door. This is the door speaker that I was talking about. You don't want to puncture that with one of those clips that goes in right here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off this cover right here. This is a T20. And then I'll unplug that door to make it stop cycling back and forth. It's kind of annoying. Alright, let's get this thing off. 1 screw, 2 screw, 3 screws. 4, 5, and 6. Alright, put those inside the car. So now we can pull this down. And now you really hear that door handle cycling back and forth. So I probably am not going to be able to show it to you because it's way inside the door here. But this is the harness for the door. And I'm going to unplug it so it stops cycling. Alright, now it's quiet. Alright, so with that disconnected, I can see here that this door handle probably hasn't been replaced by anybody because this is still here. Usually this little cover piece will become missing if Tesla's been in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our access holes undone here. So we're going to have 4 nuts that are going to be on the back of this handle here. And so we got to get access to those different ones. So there's one that sits down here, one that sits over here, one here, and one here. So we're going to take off different pieces to allow more access for this. So what I always like to do, let's see. I always like to remove this chrome trim here. So the easiest way to do it is you kind of take it and you roll it like that. So it kind of goes up and out. So roll it out. It's amazing how easily this comes off. So that's that one. And then I like to come behind. Pull that one out. And all this does is it makes you have a little bit more wiggle room for this window. Okay, start getting some of these nuts off. What's a great video? Oh, thanks, Michael August. These are 10mm nuts, by the way. This one right here is easy. You can see it real easily. We're gonna put that inside the car. So we got the one off. So now the next one, this one's kind of funky. So what I always do, I always use an extension, but what I do is I disassemble, just like this, disassemble my ratchet, and then I reassemble it inside the door so that I got access to this one nut back here. So my lighting is a little funky, I can't quite see. Normally I got different lights set up, but I was trying to make it better for the live. Let's Let's see if that'll work. Alright, it kind of works. So now, I'm on this bottom right nut. So now that one's off. There's that one. Oh, you replaced your instrument cluster because of that. That's awesome. That was the first video I ever did. And it kind of took off. That's actually from that is where I started the business that I'm in now. I had a problem. We'll do a little story time. So I had a problem with my Model S, my first one, where the instrument cluster was leaking. And I tried searching, this is a couple of years ago, tried searching all over to try to figure out how to replace it, and nobody was talking about it back then. Rich Rebuilds was the only one that was kind of working on Teslas at that time. And so I said, I'm just gonna take it apart, figure it out. And so that's what I did. I took it all apart and then found the part and started telling others about it. And somehow it kind of turned me into an expert, and then I started thinking, well, what else could there be done? So then I kind of just started reverse engineering my car and found suspension components and things like that, and just started taking those apart. And I was sending them off to China to have them, not only China, but manufacturers overseas, to have them make some of that stuff. And now it's crazy. Back then nobody was making them, and now like I get daily emails from vendors overseas wanting to sell stuff to me. So it's kind of interesting how it's changed over 6 years. Anyways, thanks for the comment. All right, so now we got 2 of them off. We got 2 more. So one of them you can be accessed right through this plug. So we'll go right through there. And there's a couple of different ways you can go about doing it. So it sits right down here. And the easiest thing that I found to do is you get a ratcheting wrench and you go in right through here. So the reason I removed that trim piece is so that I can get the window pushed back a little bit more to allow a little bit more access. And then rolling the window down at this point also makes it a little easier. You just gotta make sure that your plugs aren't in the way of the window track. And you don't have a light that you shoved in here. So pull that stuff out of there. Let me turn this a little bit so there's a little bit more light on it. Hopefully you can kind of see in there now. So this is, I'm gonna get a 10 millimeter ratcheting wrench. So this is it. So you can get in here, but as you can see, I'm kind of fighting against the window. So my wrench is up against the window. So it's just easier to go ahead and put this window down. You can just use the driver's side switch. All right, so now I'm on that nut right there. So now it's going the wrong direction. So let's flip that the right way. So to me, this is pretty easy to get. But like I said, I get a lot of emails from people that are they're beyond frustrated and saying, I can't get to it. It's impossible. I can't do it. Like, you can. Just chill out. Take a different approach. I obviously did it because I do it all the time. So this is the nut right here. That's that top nut. So now that handle is completely loose. So I'm going to put the window back up so that way I got access to pull that handle out of the back there. All right, now that window is back up. And So what you can do now, if you want to get yourself a little bit more space, is you can just lock the door. And what that'll do is put that window up a little bit higher. So all you do is you take your finger inside of here and you'll just lock the door, and you can see it just finish sending that window up. So now you got a little bit more room to play with in here, but really it's not that hard. So I want to make sure this harness for the door handle is not going to get caught on anything. Sometimes they put a little clip on here. Most of the time it's not still there because Tesla, when they come in here, they take it off. But this one is still there. All it is a little metallic clip that clips onto the body. Oh, it wasn't there. It was just caught on something else. All right, it's all loose. So, if you have a, now at this point you're gonna pull the door handle through the door. So this one is already kind of scratched up. If you have wrapped door handles or anything like that, if you don't know how to get this handle out, you kind of have to work it around a little bit. So these ones, this one's already kind of scratched. You can see me moving around. But to protect this, you put blue painter's tape across the front of it. So now at this point, your handle's completely loose, and so you'll just kind of wiggle it down, wiggle it out of place. Sometimes the window will be in the way, so you just move the window out of the way. And just like that, it's loose. So now, we're gonna walk it this way. You're gonna go past this, your window regulator motor housing. You go past that, and then you're gonna slide it out right like that. So as you can see, that was pretty easy. So you'll pull it kind of out towards you, rotate it down, go past this piece right here, and then pull it out. And there you have it. So this is a little cover that Tesla puts over them. Most of the time they're so deteriorated that they won't stay together very well. A lot of times they're just sitting down inside the bottom of the door because either Tesla will put them in there or they just fall off. All right, so let's see here. I can already see it. So this paddle gear is completely loose. So this is the paddle gear. And that's the broken piece. So I can almost get it to come out of there, but let's go put it on the bench and I'll show you how we replace it. Okay. Clear a little workspace off here. My rocks. Cam Patterson rocks. All right, so here we are. So we're gonna get this taken off. So some of the things we gotta do is unclip some of this wiring, because while we're here, we're gonna replace these micro switches too, because they're made out of, well, I'll show you here in a second, but they're too thick of wiring and they don't bend around. Three T25 screws hold the motor in place. So we're gonna pull those off, get those out of the way. Now I'm gonna start cutting the wiring harness. Not the wiring harness. You don't want to cut the wiring harness. You want to cut the zip ties that hold the wiring harness, and avoid cutting the wiring harness. So there's some of the little zip ties that they use. Get those cut. All right. So you're gonna wanna kind of take note of your orientation of the wiring here. Most of it, you're just gonna get it out of the way, but you want this wire to make sure that it's going underneath of here. So on this motor here, oh, there's four I don't know that I've ever seen all 4 of them. Or maybe I just gone crazy. Oops. All right, so once you get the motor out, what you'll do is it slides into a little housing on this side here. So you're basically just gonna take the motor out and slide it back. So after that's done, now you can access the paddle gear down here. But at first you gotta remove this micro switch on this side. So we'll get that taken out of the way there. And there it is. The moment you've all been waiting for. The broken paddle gear. So what happens is these rear legs will break off. They made them out of a pretty poor casting. And so, I mean, it's a good failure point, but they break quite a bit. And it's a decent amount of work to get to them. It's not an easy fix. So we'll replace it with one of ours. When you order it from realdealev.com, it'll come in this package right here. And this is the new paddle gear, and it'll come with a new circlip, which I'll show you the clip here in a second. We're not ready to put this in quite yet. Anyways, I just wanted to show you the part that we've been working on replacing. So let's get you a little closer. There we go. Now I can't see your comments, but this is the clip that we're going to replace right now. So when you go to pull this out, I just use a scribe, and you just take it and you'll just kind of lift it up. This one's kind of rusty. This car came from Illinois, so it's kind of rusty. On it and catch it. So it's so rusted that it actually broke. So we'll have to get the other piece out of there. Which may be a kind of a pain. There we go. All right, so I got that out of there. What do we got here? Okay, so now the next thing I want to do is I want to actually take this handle mechanism out of here to replace these the micro switches that I was talking about. So let's get this undone here, undone here. So this will be the micro switch wiring harness here. So we're gonna disconnect that. All right. Get some of this stuff out of the way. Okay, so now the next thing I'm gonna do is I want to push this pin out, and then I'm gonna push this pin out, and that'll make this whole handle be loose. So that way, are you still in view? Yeah, everybody's still in view. So that way we can get access to these. I think in my first video that I did of this, I drilled a hole, but I found it easier just to remove this pin. It's a lot easier. All right, so to do this, you're gonna obviously just touch the pin, and then I'm gonna hit it through. There's the pin. It doesn't take too much. So this is the pin that you're gonna wanna pull out right here. Put that off to the side. So now you can see this arm will come up. Well, it should. Okay, so there we go. So now this arm comes up so we can get to this micro switch a lot easier. And then now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push this rod that goes through here, I'm gonna push it out of the way. And you just gotta be cautious of these springs. They'll wanna bounce right out of there. So I'm gonna get this out of the way. This is just the clip for the motor. I don't have my nails right now. There we go. All right, make it a little easier to work with here. Okay, so now, make sure I'm in view, I can't see anything. All right, so now we got this one. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna push this pin straight through. Most of the time you can do it by hand. Yeah, there's pretty easily. Make sure you can see this. So what I'm doing here is pushing this pin. So you can hear those springs already kind of getting themselves unbound. So what I do now, I like to turn it upside down, and I'm gonna get a pair of pliers and I'm gonna pull this pin out, and those springs are gonna kind of fall down in place there. Hopefully I got enough to grab on here. Nope. Let me push this in a little bit further. There we go. All right, so now that rod's out of there. So now those springs should have fallen. So now they're live, so don't let them smack you in the face. But we'll try to just leave them in place if possible. Let's see if I can just go ahead and pull this one off now. All right, so this micro switch is adjustable. This is what tells the door handle. Okay, sorry, you couldn't see that. This is what tells the door handle where to stop and wait until you take that second pull. So this, you can adjust to how far you want that handle to go out and just sit there and pause. So this will be the one that has the metal. I actually haven't shown you those either. Here's the micro switches for that. So this is the one that we'll sell you. They're red and white. They're made out of a silicone wire as opposed to, well, silicone casing on the wire instead of what they use from Tesla, which I don't know what that is, but you can see these wires are a lot more flexible than the Tesla ones are. So these are the Tesla ones. They're not flexible at all. And so what happens is that door handle goes in and out, in and out, in and out so many times that it'll actually break the wiring internally right here because it's made out of a thick copper wire that's not made to bend all day long, every day. Where these are a aluminum braided wire and they are made to bend all day long. So these are the micro switches. So this side has no metal rod to it, or metal, here you can see the two. So this one's gonna go where I showed you, and the other one's gonna show where where I haven't showed you yet. So we'll take this screw out of the old one, put it into the new one. Okay, And then there's a little housing where it goes into. There's a little dot that it goes into. All right, so there's that one. Now we're gonna kind of trace the wire over here. And then right on this side is where we're gonna put the other one. So again, remember those springs are still live, but I'm gonna see if I can just get to it right here, which I can. So there's that one. This will completely eliminate the paddle, this micro switch. So we got that out of there. So there's the Tesla one that doesn't bend. You can see it's pretty rigid. If I was to do that with mine, it would just flop over. I like them floppy. All right, so let's get this put in. So it's a funky angle, so make sure you don't cross thread this if you're gonna do it the way that I'm doing right now, which is kind of ghetto, but. Okay, went in perfect. So now what I wanna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put this cable back, or not cable, this rod back through to hold the springs from shooting out. And when you're doing this, you just got to make sure, you want to make sure this arm's out of the way, this spring's out of the way. So there, now it's to the spring. Now we're going to go through the next spring and we're going to wait. We're going to pause right there. So there, now we're just chilling right there. So now we got to take our new paddle gear and we're going to put it in place there. So here's our new paddle gear. Now these will come with the bushings. We got to get those bushings out of there. There's a couple of extra bushings that Tesla has on theirs that when it breaks, sometimes they stay there, sometimes they don't. But if they're there, they'll get in the way because there's such tight tolerance on this. So let's see if I can show you here now where we're gonna go. So this is where the paddle gear is going to go. It's going to slide right down in here, and it's going to sit right on that on this arm. So now it's ready to go slide through. So now I'm just looking at the back side of it to make sure that it's going to go in. Let's see if I flip it around for you. So you can see this. I probably can't. But there's this bar, it's not in the way, it's not lined up right. So that's okay. Everything's loose in there, so now we're just gonna grab it and wiggle it around until it does go in there. So now I'm gonna go ahead and keep pushing this rod through there. Okay. Now we're through the paddle gear, through all the springs and everything. So now what you want to do is you just want to push it in enough so that it stops about where you think it's going to go. So about right there. Oh, which is almost perfectly dead on. So now what we're going to do is, if you can see this, you can't. All right. So there's a little spline right here. This is where I took that C-clip off earlier. And so what I actually did, I pushed it in a little bit too far. I need to go back like 2 millimeters. So let's see if I can, oh yeah. Now I went back too far the other way. All right, now it's right in the middle. So, this is the new C-clip that you'll get when you order ours. Oh, that's good. You can see it real well. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna just push this down over that shaft to keep it from sliding out. There we go. There we go. So now it's right in there. All right, so now we got our shaft in, both our springs are on, our paddle gear's on, everything's good to go. So we're gonna put the motor back on here. And then we're gonna, I just remember, I saw this wiggle and I thought that's not normal. So we got that pin to put back in, so I'm gonna do that now actually, before we go too much further. Where did I put it? Somebody observe where I put that pin at. All right, where's the pin? Nobody knows. There's the pin, back here by the MCU screen. All right, so I'll put this pin back in. As I literally just put away everything that I needed, but we'll use this drill as my hammer. I don't know that I really want to show this because I'm not using it correctly, but it is what it is. All right, so this is the pin this is the pin I'm trying to get to push back down in there. So we'll use these clips. All right, there we go. So you just want to make sure it's in there flush, not out too far. Okay, so now we're ready to put the motor back in. Remember what I said, keep the orientation of the wiring in mind. So this is the way the wiring was on there. We'll put these 4 screws back in to the motor. Make sure you're not pinching any wires, obviously. Now, we can put this one back on. Now, people have been emailing me about this one a lot, this micro switch. For some reason, they want to replace it. It stays stationary, so you really don't need to mess with replacing it. Oh shit, you can't see that. Hopefully, you saw that. So I was talking about this micro switch right here. People see 3 micro switches and they say, well, I only got 2 micro switches. We don't replace this one because, like I said, it stays still. And that's what causes these ones to fail, is the constant moving back and forth. So get our wiring wrapped around here. So there's a bunch of little clips that you can put the wiring into here. You want this all to be nice and tight up against the housing, because the power window motor will run right real close to this. So now I'm gonna get a bunch of small little zip ties and start zip tying all that stuff closed. Can never use too many zip ties, right? Now this one I like to go to the housing of this motor. Okay, So now, just want to make sure you got good movement on these. And I don't like the way this one's riding on this. I'm actually going to take this off and put it underneath it there. So, see what I'm looking at here? It does have this chafing gear on here, but I wish I would have put this underneath, so I'm going to do that real quick. All right, let's see that now. Yeah, I like that much better. Okay, so some of the functions here. So this is what I was telling you about. This handle is going to tell it where to stop. So it's going to present. It'll stop right here. And then this one will wait until it gets the final pull signal to finish its move. So that's it. Now I'm going to cut our zip ties off and we'll be ready to put this door back, put this handle back in the door. All right, let's go. What up? So if anybody's just joining, I see there's 16 people. We've been on for 42 minutes. We are replacing a paddle gear. Sorry, I'm trying to tilt the camera down a little bit. Replacing a paddle gear on a Tesla Model S door handle that doesn't present. So basically what will happen is you'll walk up to the car, all the other door handles will pop out except for one. And this is usually the problem, is the paddle gear. Unless it's a newer car, then they may have a Gen 3 handle in it, which you can find in the service menu. And if that's the case, then it could be something completely different. Gen 3 handles are a whole new beast. So, what's up, heroes of India? All right, I'm gonna get the door handle. I'll bring it over here. All right, so we got the door handle now. Oh, I need to get rid of this rope. So we're not gonna need this rope anymore, so. Get a knife and cut that off. Should I let him keep it as a souvenir? Give it back to him? Put it inside the car for him. We won't be needing that anymore. Alright, so now I'm going to put this back on, this cover up here. It's kind of pointless, I think, but they say it keeps water out of it. I don't know. It probably won't stay there now, but how much time does it take to charge with normal electricity? It really depends. So if you plug into a regular 110 outlet, it'll charge at a rate of 12 amps. You'll get 3 miles per hour, which is really slow. So you take that in an hour, you'll have 3 more miles. The charger I use is a 50 amp charger, and it's at 240. It's still pretty normal. It's a normal household dryer. And that charges at a rate of 26, I think, or 28 miles an hour. So still not ridiculously fast, but it'll, if we drive the car all week long, kill the battery from zero to 100% takes about 11 hours, which sounds like a long time, but that very rarely happens, and most of the time you're sleeping anyway, so you just come back and you got a full charge. It's really convenient. When you're traveling, that's a little bit different, but when you hit up superchargers, most of those superchargers charge at a rate of around 600 miles an hour. But it doesn't do that whole rate of charge the whole time. It usually only does it from like the 0 to, yeah, that's what I'm talking about now. From 0 to 50%, it'll give you basically all the power. But anything after that has to taper down the rate of charge, and so it'll slow you down. So it's kind of different from like a normal gas car where you go to a gas station, you fill it all the way up, and you hit the road until it's on E. On this one, you actually drive from about 0% state of charge, even though you don't want to go to 0, up to 50% state of charge. So you only use about half the battery, but it's a lot quicker that way. And Tesla does all that math. You just put in the route where you want to go. It'll tell you where you need to go and how long you need to be there, how many people are going to be at the charger. So we prefer to travel with the Tesla as opposed to the gas truck I got. It's just sometimes in the gas truck it's like, geez, are we ever going to stop? So, all right, so to put this back in, we're going to do the same way we came out. So we're going to put, and then we're going to rotate it down. And then slide it up. So we are now past that door trim. About in place now. I got my hand through the front of the door so I can kind of feel where the door handle's at. And we're pretty close right now. It might be in. To one side. There we go. All right, so you just kind of got to work it in there. And you can see now it's flush. So we'll worry about changing this orientation, but you can see I can move it around inside of there. So I'll have to put my custom spacers in there to make it sure it doesn't drag. Custom? No, nothing custom. It's just had a factory replacement of a door handle paddle gear that had failed. It broke. All right, so I'm going to put some nuts on here so I don't have to hold it anymore. So I'm going to go with the one on the bottom left. That's the easiest one to get to. And then now I'm going to go with the top left. Also really easy to get to. Right through this hole, if you were watching earlier. So I've done this enough that I can kind of go by feel. But if you need to, you just shove a light down inside this door handle housing. All right, there's that one. So don't go too tight with them because we'll have to put that spacer in now. So this is the one, if you were on earlier, basically what I do is I take apart my ratcheting or my socket extension. I put the bare extension in and I put the socket on inside the door. And then put the nut on it. And then now just go right to the stud. And it's kind of back to the left. I may have to get the light in on this one. So sometimes it'll want to get cross-threaded, which is actually what it's doing right now. So I'm going to do it by hand instead. It's not terrible to get your hands in here. It's a decent amount of room in there. It's a pretty funny view right there, new door all up in the door. Who's the manufacturer? Oh, this is a Tesla. Unless you're asking about the replacement part, that's us. All right. Got that one in there now. So now, before I get too crazy, I'm going to get my spacers. Usually I just use a credit card. This time I'm going to use an Amazon gift card housing. It's a little thicker. You almost need two credit cards. So, all right, let's see about getting these tightened up. So we'll tighten up these 3, and then working on that 1. You can notice the pitch change there. When you know it's tight. Where's that nut at? There we go. All right, so we got 3 of them put on. A lot of people will just leave it like that. I've opened up a lot of doors and it only has the 3 on there. See, this thing's already coming off, so I'm gonna not put it back on. So yeah, a lot of times I'll open up this door and this 3rd one up here won't be on. But what I want to do now is I want to check it for functionality. So I'm gonna plug it in, because sometimes I have to adjust the pull. It'll do what's called a phantom opening, and I'll have to go in there and adjust the throw of it, which hopefully I don't have to do. All right, so now we're plugged in. Let me just tell the car that we are here. So you heard a little bit of rubbing there. Grab the key. Here's the key for it. Oh, the other door's open. Shut that door, so now we can lock it. And we're able to lock it right now because it thinks that this door is closed. So I've latched this latch right here, and so this door is closed by what the car thinks. So I'm gonna open the door now. So as you can, well, you can't see it. So now it's presenting like it's supposed to. And the good thing about it is it's not presenting too far, but I do hear it rubbing. So I want to tighten up this bolt. So I'm gonna lock it again, just check it for functionality. So there it gets sucked in. I'm gonna bring this left side up a little bit. It might be because I don't have this tightened up yet, but there it presents. And so now we do this next portion, and now it opens the car door. So we're gonna make it think that we just shut it by latching this closed. So now it thinks the car is closed, and I'm gonna lock the car again. Everything's good. It's not rubbing anymore. I still want to adjust this a little bit though. Good. Perfect. Like I said, I'll slide this in a little bit. Now I got that wedge in there, and I'm going to tighten up this top one, but I got to roll down that window. Probably just shot that out, didn't it? All right, so I'm going to put that window down. Got to make sure I don't get my wiring. I didn't have it tied out of the way here. All right, there we go. I don't want to cut that wire. It's that I have access to this one nut that I don't know if you were here earlier or not, but the nut that's down inside of here. So, get my nut and my wrench. And I don't know if you can see this or not. Not really. So I have the nut in my fingers. So take the nut just like this in between my two fingers. And I'm gonna just slide it down there. Don't drop it. And just hand thread it on here. It's only about, I don't know, 2 inches down inside the door. And with removing this chrome trim and this other piece of trim, you can move this window a lot. So it makes it easy. So there we go, got it all on. And now tighten it up. See if it's got enough tension to ratchet. Oh yeah. All right, so now what I was talking about earlier, I want to tighten it up. Perfect. So now the next thing I gotta do is start putting the door panel back together. Okay, so I'll get the window. Actually, I can leave the window there. So this is the first piece of trim that I removed here. This is gonna go down. What I always use it. So when you're doing this, oh, it's hard to see on camera, but you can kind of see where it was before, right there. So you want to push in. That way it goes in the same spot that it was. There we go. Now this gets clipped in here. Alright, so now the chrome trim piece. This will slide on, slide down, and then kind of roll it down. That's it for that. So that's it. Next thing I wanna do is get this wiring harness so that it's tucked up and out of the way. So what I'm gonna do here is put this on. It goes on this little clip here. Alright, so what there is this little Christmas tree clip. I'm going to go ahead and push that out of there so it's a little easier to work with. So what this is a little clip that goes on this wiring harness right here. So what I'm going to do is slide that on there. So now I can clip it right to the door. It's kind of difficult to blindly slide that wiring harness onto it. So I'll get that on there. I'm going to put the window up. There we go. Now I can just make sure that I got this wire out of the way, all the way. You just really don't want to get caught up in that door. All right, so we're good now, or that window. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is start putting this pack back on. And this is the cable that has to go through it. So now we're just going to put all those T20s, I think they were. I suffer from, I'm like Dory. Suffer from short-term memory loss, right? Isn't that what Dory says? These go into little plastic holders, so no need to get too crazy with them. Make sure your cable is not bound up inside this door, right there. All right, up and warm. Dropped it. Got it. I haven't got a chance to check the news recently. What's Tesla stock at? Anybody? I see 11 people here. Somebody has to be able to look it up for me. All right, so now, while somebody's looking that up, I'm going to go ahead and put this door panel back on here. So on this one, it's kind of cool. Obviously, you need to remember where the wires came off, but if you don't, they all go in their own place. So like this one, as you can see, it's kind of laid out. So it's going to go back here to this red light. What else do we have? The bottom, but obviously this one's really short, so it's going to go down here. This next one is our window switch, so we'll put that in there. Now there is a couple of blank plugs like this one right here. This doesn't go to anything for this car. Now we got our light for our door handle. Put that one in. So that's it. Now the next thing I got to do is put this manual release back in for the door. So put the cable in and then put the guide in. That's it there. So now I'm going to make sure I'm going to visualize all my clips. Oh, actually, before I forget, Tesla's pretty big about putting these back in place for the pressure on the door. Apparently it matters. So make sure you put those back on. I don't know that I'd really buy it, but it's easy enough. Alright, so now we're going to line it up. And then I can already see this bolt in the way. That went under the car. Alright, so from this point now, got everything lined up. I know it is because I can feel all the clips in place. So, hit it. There we go. So I can see it's flush on the top here. And yeah, that's pretty much it to hold it in place, which is kind of crazy. And then obviously you got these three screws, the one 10 millimeter that I'm going to go chase underneath the car. These two Torx, these are the T30 Torx. All right, got that on. Hopefully you can see that, sorry. So now this cover is going to go in here. Now I got those Torx in. So now, this is the cover that's going to go in place. So it goes in this orientation. So you're going to slide it into the housing and then push it in. Sometimes it can be a real pain if you don't get it lined up just right. You just don't want to push it too hard because on this other side are these two. All right, so here it is. So you don't want to just send it because these clips do have to clip in place. So there you go. Clipped right in place now. Now I gotta go underneath the car and find that bolt. Huh, awesome. Pretty much in the middle of the car. That's where the bad boy comes into play. I think I'm about to go from the other side though. Got it. Got it. Oh, it's up 3. Okay, nice. Oh, Tesla Bay, what up, brother? 217.19, 3%. Not too bad. It broke 219 earlier. I got a little excited, but then came back down. Then I had to get to work, you know? How's the shop? There we go. That's the last one to put in there. So now I just got to put that piece of trim back in, which is basically you got 2 notches and 1 notch. So how I put it in the 2 notches first and then push down in the front. Yeah? There we go. Anybody that's on here that doesn't know Tesla Bay there, you gotta check him out. He does stuff awesome for the whole Tesla community within the Tampa Bay area. I've been needing to go out to some of his events, but I haven't gotten the opportunity to yet. On the shop? That's pretty cool. What up, shop? Yeah, recently he did a really good Cybertruck rally. Got a bunch of Cybertrucks together for a young girl that had cancer, not doing so good, and her only wish was to get some Cybertrucks to come out there. And he put that together. He does an awesome job of getting the community involved and doing things like that. I went to little kids, what was it, the Great American Teach-In. I think it was a couple of years ago. I did that with him. So I appreciate everything you do there, Jason. Okay, so that's it. So we are all done. Got the handle all situated there. So I'll clean it up and go from there. So everybody, 15 Cybertrucks came. That's crazy. I didn't even know there was 15 in Tampa. Okay, well, I'm going to get signed off, but thank you for watching. And I appreciate everybody, and make sure you do all the things that you're supposed to do on YouTube, like and subscribe and whatever the notification bell is. I recently did a really good video that I thought was going to be good, but it's not EV related, and I guess most of my people are EVs. So I did this 1979 Camaro restoration, and I was hoping I was going to get a ton of views and it was going to give me a reason to go back and get it fired up. But it really has been kind of a dud, and it's unfortunate because there's not a lot of 1979 Camaros with 267 miles that hadn't been washed in 45 years. So if you get a chance, go check out that video. It's not EV related, but anyways, I thought it was going to do really well, and it hasn't yet. So I appreciate all you guys watching. Take care. Have a good day.